I think let's start the section. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. जिन जिन लोगों ने ज्वाइन किया बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आपका ज्वाइन करने का आज के सेशन का जो कि स्विफ्ट के रिलेटेड है हमारे जीआरसी प्रोडक्ट एंड उसकी तरफ जाने से पहले मैं छोटा सा एक इंट्रोडक्शन देना चाहूँगा। मेरा नाम अब्दुल फयानी है। आई एम द प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर एट S2 कंसल्टिंग एंड S2 कंसल्टिंग is a value-added distributor in Pakistan. We have multiple products in which we deal. Most of them are cybersecurity oriented, and one of them is Swift. So S2 की journey start हुई थी 2016 में, and this company started with few products, and 2018 we incorporated Ivanti as our first product, Ivanti EPM as a pack management, which is currently deployed in most of the Pakistan banks in the financial institute, and it has we have footprint of all the main organizations in Pakistan. For example, the FSI sectors like all banks, main banks like Special Bank, HBL, National Bank, Bank Islami, Bank of Punjab, and all other banks. So we focused on like value added distributor means we provide value as well as the distribution. So what does that mean? It means we provide services, support, and we have our technical team as well. तो हम यहीं से पाकिस्तान में बैठे हुए जो हमारे जितने प्रोडक्ट्स है उसकी लोकल सपोर्ट प्रोवाइड करते हैं टू आवर कस्टमर्स, जिसमें डिप्लॉयमेंट्स है या उनके बाद में कोई इश्यूज आते हैं तो लेवल 1 एंड लेवल 2 सपोर्ट जो है हम यहीं से प्रोवाइड करते हैं। देन इन केस अगर कोई ऐसा इशू होता है जहाँ पर हमें वेंडर की रिक्वायरमेंट होती है तो फिर हम आगे उसको राउट करते हैं। तो इसके अलावा अगर मैं आपको कंपनी के कुछ कस्टमर्स की हाइलाइट्स दूँ तो जैसे मैंने आपको पहले बताया मल्टीपल बैंक्स हैं, टेलको में हैं हम। इसके अलावा हमारे प्रेजेंटेशन प्रेजेंस जो है वो इलेक्ट्रिक सप्लाई एंड अदर मार्केट में भी हमारी प्रेजेंस मौजूद है। सो प्रोडक्ट्स की बात करें, वी हैव मल्टीपल प्रोडक्ट्स इन आवर portfolio. As I mentioned, Ivanti has multiple products in its portfolio as well. Like Ivanti does the EPM. EPM is the endpoint manager, which do the patching. Also, they have ITSM, service management. Also, they have NAC, and they have MDM. So we हम सारे इनके जितने भी प्रोडक्ट्स हैं उन सारों को हम यहाँ पे कैटर करते हैं। इसके अलावा डिविलियन इज वेल नोन पैम प्रोडक्ट एंड जो ऑलमोस्ट तमाम बड़े एक्सरसाइज में यूज होती है। बहुत सारी कंपनीज ऑलरेडी यूज कर रही है, इसका बहुत अच्छा फुटप्रिंट है। Development is a seam source solution, and as Sec Hard is you can say security hardening tool, which do hardening as well as the remediation as well. So एक बहुत अच्छा सिक्योरिटी हार्डनिंग का टूल है। इसके अलावा ओमनिसा की डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हमने रिसेंटली साइन की है लास्ट ईयर, एंड इट हैज MDM, UEM एज वेल एज VDI। कॉमवॉल्ट हमारा बैकअप सोल्यूशन है। Securian, we do the DLP. Hello ITSM, another ITSM tool, very well known, very good product. Comes with CMDB and other all the stuff as well. सॉफ्टवेयर CTI एंड इसी तरह हमारे पास और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हमारे पोर्टफोलियो में शामिल है, जिसके अंदर ऑटोमेटिक पेन टेस्टिंग, स्विफ्ट ऑब्वियसली जिसके बारे में आज हम बात करेंगे, कैम्प, लोड बैलेंसर, VP इवांती का VPN है, NAC है, वॉल आर्म इज एन API security. So that's all about it. That's a small introduction of our company. Swift एक GRC प्रोडक्ट है, एंड इनके जो OEM हैं, those are Pakistani guys, but they based in UK. So this company is from UK, but they all are Pakistani. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमारे अपने लोग हैं जिन्होंने इस प्रोडक्ट को बनाया है, और अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह पाकिस्तान में बहुत सी जगहों पर अभी भी चल रही है। ठीक है, ऑलरेडी इसका फुटप्रिंट मौजूद है, जिसके अंदर हमारा फैसल बैंक है, बैंक फाइबर है, एंड अदर क्लाइंट भी मौजूद हैं इसके। सो दिस इज द शॉर्ट इंट्रो ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट एंड S2। नाउ मैं इनवाइट करूंगा अबूजर, ही इज फ्रॉम स्विफ्ट, ही इज CEO of the company and also the technical head. And so he's going to give the presentation and a demo of the product, and for us a short हम एक सेशन करेंगे after this demo and presentation for the Q&A in the end, 5 to 10 minutes. So over to you, Abuzar.
Hey, Assalamu alaikum. Thanks everybody for joining today. And I would like to welcome you to the webinar. Thanks, Abduro, for the intros. I will be very brief about the introduction about the Swift and the platform and what exactly are we helping our customers with. My customers, if we talk about our customers, we have a footprint in Pakistan. Our footprint is expanding across different regions like Saudi Arabia, United Kingdom, United States, the UAE, and in Pakistan, of course, with different organizations. So what we help with to the organizations is basically digitally transforming their compliance. Compliance, of course, for the enterprise is not the biggest headache. So we take the risk-based approach and we provide them the risk engineering platform which helps the organization to transform their compliance journey, automate prioritization of their task management, like vulnerabilities, like their issues, compliance posture, gaps, etc. So the modern enterprises can work on a pace they actually need to. Organizations they have many different departments and different teams working together. जिसमें IT security होती है, GRC teams होती हैं. They have teams like security operation centers, IT engineering team, DevOps, DevSecOps, and many other teams who needs to work together. So one of the biggest challenge the organization faces, like one of the biggest telcos in the UK, whom we work with, unka issue ye hai कि there is no point of convergence. They have many silos. And of course, when they have operations in different countries, they don't get to see a whole picture for the group CISO or the group organization head of cybersecurity. Okay, exactly how their controls are performing, how their risks are performing over time, how much of their processes are under risk, like compliance-based processes or any other type of processes, how the control influences to your risks, and how the organizational overall posture is standing at any given moment. So we take the approach of security platformization. So the security platformization is a term which was coined by the IBM in 2025, that due to a lot of silos, huge amount of silos in the organizations, there is never a clear picture or one single picture which a CISO or the leadership team in security can rely on to understand how the organization is performing overall at any given moment. So that's a bigger challenge than compliance or risk management. And if you can't see anything, you can't protect anything. And historically, this role has been more inclined towards the security operations center, but mainly the deal with the logs management and log-based prioritization. But what they leave behind is the risk operations center, risk-based approach towards how they deal with the organizational telemetry data, which comes from tons of different sources. And Historically, this role has been very much focuses around the information security team. And unfortunately, the information security team has been very much trained to do the clerical work, जो कि mainly they activates around the audit times annually or biannually whenever it requires. But in a in a fast-paced environment like currently we are living in the AI era, everything moves on a light speed, and the information security, cybersecurity needs to also move on a similar pace. So the static GRC versus the modern enterprises, what exactly is has been the problem within the organizations, which is um, we take time in point in time snapshots from our vulnerability management, our compliance control progresses, our frameworks and standard readiness for any audits, and all these reports comes in 14 to 20 different dashboards. And these dashboards are not even connected together with the organization overall cyber risk. So the siloed and disconnected data wages a bigger problem than passing an audit. An audit can be passed through just showing the auditor the processes and tiny bit of improvements which has happened over time, over a year or two so time, the time of renewals, but it never paint full picture. So the full picture, if it is not painted, it cannot translate into a business language. The business language में उसको translate करने के लिए you need to consolidate everything and need to bring everything together so that the leadership team in the security, the leadership team in the in the cyber or CISO office can see how their technical, non-technical controls, their asset inventories, their applications, their vulnerabilities, everything how at any given moment. So the challenge is bringing everything together, and that's exactly what we do with our customers. So we took the risk engineering approach towards the solving of these issues, and we try to change the traditional GRC, which has historically has the audience of audits and compliance. And by changing this approach, the audience becomes the CFOs of the companies, even so that because you are translating the risk into the dollar term, you're translating the risk into the monetary term, which everybody understands. The risk language becomes the financial loss model, and the compliance control progression changes the way how you see the risk reducing, not just your static heat maps, not just your static the data-driven approach where any bit of improvement translates directly into your financial loss model. We take the data model to into the living threat aware models where we map everything with the threat center. And these threats are live, being fed by CISA, being fed by EPSS rating, being fed by the CVSS scores and the vulnerabilities, being mapped with MITRE attack framework. So, the enterprise who is already familiar with different the terms based which they use for the prioritization. So it translates into it. So the risk operation center of their organization can emerge in the organization, not just security operation, which is more towards the tactical security. The strategic element of security management and risk engineering comes live. The visibility also transforms because the siloed dashboards cannot paint the full picture and cannot provide the full reporting unless you spend 5 or 6 days man hours to stitch together the reports. Whereas you can see the unified visibility across your internal attack surface, your technical debt, your controls prioritization, your control progressions, vulnerability reduction, etc. At any given moment. And it becomes real time and continuous. However, you make changes in your source systems, which could be your servers, your routers, your firewalls, your organizational cloud account, or anything in particular, it reflects into the system. So the higher ups who are sitting on top of everything, they can see, and the people who are actually resolving the issues, improving the controls, maturity level, can also operate on a single platform. So how did we build the living loss model for the modern threats, or how did we put together this data model? So we take a different three or four different approach. First of all, सबसे पहले you bring in your asset, any possible sources wherever you see there could be a threat, and you are applying the security controls. You bring the asset intelligence onto the system. And it automatically discovers the assets from different sources of integrations, and also applies the logic by applies the logic to import the issues or gaps and findings in the source systems. It could be security monitoring tools, or it could be scanning tools, etc. Then we use the AI to enrich the data, make it threat aware. So everything is made threat aware in the system. So the artificial intelligence uses different type of algorithms and different type of approaches using the frontier models like OpenAI or the Claude to enrich the data and provides us a real-time visibility of how the threat could be exposed. Using the same data, we use and create the custom risk scenarios, and those custom risk scenarios become your living models where anything moves or where anything improves or gets worse in the organizational scope, which you have previously described, still shows you how the things are moving, whether they are improving or going worse in any point of time. And as things improves, or as new vulnerabilities or add new issue control gaps or audit findings are added to the scope, it automatically adjusts the risk score and compliance score simultaneously. So you have one clear picture of your organizational progress. So we call it a risk intelligence platform, which gathers everything, whether from your technology asset, from your people asset, your existing security investments from in your cybersecurity telemetry, and also the third parties and suppliers. So once everything comes together, they automatically get stitched to your controls, open the issues or gaps in the systems, follows the policies, and also risk models which are already being developed can be fed all the data, and the harmonization is created eventually in the system where you can see everything moving in a runtime. If you talk about the stack, it has the different layers. We have the data layer, which is sitting on the very beneath the surface, which brings security telemetry data, your asset inventory, intels from different sources like CISA, First Org, and EU vulnerability database, etc. Also brings the vulnerability sources from your infrastructure vulnerability scanner, cloud security posture management, CNAP, your your application security testing tools like SAST and DAST, and it brings everything into a single source, which identify the compliance gaps, misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, which identifies the advisories, hygiene requirements, and everything, and classify it automatically. And we use underneath this data layer engine, we use different algorithms, proprietary algorithms, and artificial intelligence to classify them and prioritize them. So intelligence layer is then applied so that we feed the risk quantification engine, risk management engine for qualitative and quantitative risk management. We also developed the loss modeling. Okay, if we get compromised for that particular asset group or that particular business asset or organizational applications or organization units, departments, if they get compromised, what loss expectancy we should expect in the organization. Um, it correlates threats with the different threat intel feeds, and it provides you with the scenario analysis in runtime at any given moment. And if you leave the risk scenario just sitting there monitoring the systems, it's going to continue monitoring how things are improving in the organization, how things are changing, how compliance processes are improving, how the vulnerability data is decreasing, and um, overall performance of your organizational risk management. And on top of everything, we have prioritization and decision layer where executives, CISOs, and can see how the things are going on. And the people who are actually working on it, just like engineers had the organization की security operation teams हो सकते हैं. They also get the AI remediation workflows and AI assisted prioritization, which provides you the confidence score that how likely is it going to be that you're gonna get compromised on each individual issues which is open in your organization. So if you want to paint the whole picture, how the system is designed and architectured, this is how the engineering workflows and algorithmic workflows feeds into each other. On top of everything, we have the system which everybody sees. Underneath, we have the regulatory compliance assurance feeds. We have the risk intelligence engine, everything working together simultaneously to provide the orchestration and workflows automation. What we feed these systems with, which could include the private cloud, infrastructure data, vulnerability management data, issues, gaps, and observations from IT security, security operation centers, application security, external attack surface management, cloud security, etc. So integrate the feeds, and those feeds automatically gets integrated with all the different components. जिसमें आपके controls हैं, frameworks हैं, risk scenarios हैं, आपके organizational units हैं, your applications हैं. They gets automatically mapped with them. So each data feed you provide the system, it enriches your organizational security posture, and it provides you enriched reporting in your dashboards. And that all with you can host it anywhere. It's not a public cloud offering. It can be self-hosted. It can be hosted in an air-gapped environments, of course, with some limitations, and can be hosted anywhere in the organization, which is one of the biggest challenge the world is currently facing, which is the data sovereignty. So we provide our customers choice of data sovereignty where they can deploy it anywhere, they can host it anywhere, and of course they can feed the system with their crown jewel security data so that they can automate their decision prioritization. They can automate their compliance control assurance with the continuous control monitoring. They can automate their risk models to identify new risks, new findings feeding into the system the time without having to compromise on where the data lives. Ultimately, it comes to a question that why? Why exactly what's the reason behind any organization would be investing into something, their CISO office, and board reporting, etc. The cost of breach is increasing every year. In 2024, it was nearly $5 million breach, which has increased to 6.5 million in today's time, and by end of 2025. One of the biggest challenge for the people जो कि tactical level पे काम करते हैं, जो कि IT security engineering departments में काम कर रहे हैं, it takes approximately around 72 days to identify whether this risk scenario or that vulnerability is related to, a specific organizational unit या कैसे वो किस तरह से वो post कर सकती हैं, the vulnerabilities or compliance gaps, how much of audit is at risk. It takes, so if a prioritization is automated, it's being mapped with all your potential risk scenarios. You can pick it up more effectively, and since the system is doing the prioritization based on team-based decision and based on feeds, it takes maybe a day or two to pick up the vulnerabilities. And even in some cases where we have the urgent requirements coming in, if we have a potential vulnerability which is being exploited in the wild, like whether it's been reported in CISA, EPSS, it gets reported even faster within a matter of few hours so that somebody picks it up and is basis. So that kind of effectiveness can only be achieved when we consolidate the silos, when we bring everything together. And why now is because there is a swarm of vulnerabilities, there is a swarm of findings. Those are coming to every organization in next couple of weeks. Whenever these frontier models from uh, Anthropic frontier models from other AI companies who are going to release it for everybody. They are going to democratize these security tools so that everybody can find the vulnerabilities and findings, vulnerabilities, issues, compliance gaps, everything in their systems. So when we have it, there's going to be a ton of backlog sitting, and we're also going to need a automated prioritization engine because not every vulnerability, every finding, every compliance gap, every potential audit finding requires the same amount of attention. The resources are scarce. If you have the intelligence engine which prioritize everything for you and present everything to your board and present everything to your organizational leaders and also the engineering teams to work on it, it can be picked up in a matter of few hours. So the CISO dashboards and CISO reports gets optimized, and obviously it also comes with financial metrics which everybody understands. If you tell your organizational CISOs or board members or CFOs they're going to be a high risk or critical risk, they most likely not going to understand exactly what critical means translates into. Even if they have defined tiers that critical risk translates into $150 million, you cannot exactly pinpoint how it's going to be reduced. You cannot reduce, you need to reduce the noise. They reduce the that you can see it clearly. You define the clarity, and with the clarity, you get the prioritization done for your compliance controls implementation, rated implementation of how the controls could improve your compliance posture and maturity level, and also how the vulnerability debt reduction or your issues reduction is going to affect your organizational risk posture and compliance, of course. So how we turn everything into risk intelligence engine is, of course, we first of all we connect the disconnected silos. The silos could include your asset inventories, your security telemetry feeds, which could include your organizational controls implementation status and vulnerability status, etc. You put it into a model, and model grinds it into actionable items which you can prioritize and work on, and eventually it delivers board ready reports and also teams and engineering teams the reports that how they are progressing so that they can also determine what their key risk indicators are, and they can also prove that their KPIs are being achieved, their SLAs are being met within and being compliant in the organization. Everybody gets connected at one single place, and they can see visualize it on the dashboards. So Although it's a GRC platform, it's distributed into two different modules. The CTEM, the continuous threat exposure management, threat exposure management module integrates with your compliance processes, your your end user identity governance process, your infrastructure vulnerability management, everything pretty much on the tactical level. And the CRQM, this is cyber risk quantification and management, pairs with the qualitative and quantitative risk models, which could be used for the strategic levels by the teams in the leadership, the CISO, the organizational head of security, and that all offered in a way that where the data sovereignty is put on a very on the center stage. So the key takeaways I would say from this would be, we deviate or we move from the static GRC risk register, log register, to create a model which is dynamic enough, and which is an environment joke which keeps up with all the different feeds, intelligence feeding into one single system, which eventually जो कि एक security platform create करता है based on the principle of security platformization, and that allows you to see how your organization is performing at any given moment. It refreshes in nearly runtime and provides you with the quantified risk data, qualitative risk data, financial loss models, that all in a one single data, which is feeding into your compliance risk, identity processes, etc. So a unified platform breaks silos into, and consolidate at one single source of truth of the organization, to see how your investments are performing in cybersecurity, how your teams are performing in cybersecurity, and how they are compliant with all the potential different layers in the organization. It gets fed with the threat aware intelligence feeds coming from different sources, so that you can the risks and the issues and the um, what's happening in the world, happening in the world outside of your organization as well. It applies the logic, it consolidates the threats to show you how the organization is performing. Eventually, it shows you a board and CFO ready reports, which everybody understands. Everybody understands if we are going to bear a potential loss, they're going to be, somehow the organization um, not prioritize the issues to close them. System can do so that the engineering teams who are already buried, tons of work, they wouldn't have to sit an analyst to prioritize the work. So the management layer is automated so that the people can work on issues as they emerge. That's the end of the quick view of the platform. I will quickly show you the dashboard, how it looks like, how the reporting looks like, and we can then jump into the Q&A. As you load the system, which is already being fed by different sources, and it's providing a board-ready dashboard, CISO dashboard, which is providing you what's your organization risk currently looks like, how many risks are currently being monitored, whether they are process-based risk, that they are backed by the data sources, your annual loss expected, how much you're spending on the controls, and how the trends are changing over time, whether they are improving or going worse. Your overall risk, how it's being changed, your drug exposure, how it looks like, how many critical risks are there, how many high, medium, and low risks are there within threshold and outside the threshold. much of your control spend is being distributed, and what your risk categories looks like. Organizational risk, how it's being changing over time, how your annual loss expectation is changing over time. So it's categorized within compliance, continuous control monitoring, risk management. All of them are provided so that you can see what exactly you want to see. That you are interested in the compliance areas, risk management, or exposure management. You can see the progression of your frameworks, the compliance readiness over time, the controls maturity analysis, changes, your continuous control monitoring, how effective your controls are performing over time, and your NIST cybersecurity framework based maturity analysis of different areas of your controls. The system is already fed with the controls which comes from NIST TSF, CIS, PACI DSS, ISO 27001, um, many other frameworks, regional and globally recognized frameworks. And we have another section for continuous exposure tracking and management, where you can see how many issues are there in your organization. Many of them are critical. How many CVs are currently actively being exploited in the wild? How many sources of data you are feeding into the system? And it's showing you the trend, how it's being changed, how it's being evolved, or going towards your performance over time, how your SLA compliance look like, so that the management can also see the KRIs and KPIs are being aligned in the organization. Your various risky groups in the organization, which could be organizational units, your distributions of issues, how many of them are, at what stage, the tools those are feeding into the systems, and many other type of analytics are available. So these analytics are available on a very high level. The micro analytics are also available at every stage of your journey, on your controls, on your frameworks and standards everywhere, where you can see the statuses, everything on a micro level and the macro level. It provides you with your key risk indicators against any controls, any risks, any other unit of the whole system. So that's a very quick overview of the system, and we can now jump into the Q&A, and we can take questions if we have any. Dhruv, over to you.
तो गाइस, किसी को कुछ सवाल करना हो इससे रिलेटेड, कुछ समझने के लिए या कोई और चीज, तो दे कैन आस्क.
ओके, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है कि मेरी आवाज़ क्लियर है?
जी जी.
अगर हम फ्रेमवर्क्स में खुद से कुछ ऐड कर सकते हैं या फ्रेमवर्क्स ऑलरेडी इम्प्लीमेंटेड होते हैं?
The system allows you to add any framework जो कि आपकी organization में currently utilize हो रहे हैं, और या आपके internal frameworks या security policies भी हैं. You can incorporate and add them into the system, and you can
तो हम
map
अपने
them with the
अकॉर्डिंगली
central
चेंज कर
controls
सकते
library.
हैं?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you can.
ओके.
Also, it has like multiple integrations as well with the other software service. जी वजी.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question like in your centralized frameworks, just like if I'm taking an example of SOC 2 or maybe ISO 27001. So in those frameworks, do you guys also offer the related controls, or the controls are global and a person can come and map their respective controls with that specific framework?
The system comes with predefined frameworks, okay, the customer chooses. It could be a single framework, it could be multiple frameworks to begin with. The system also comes with neutral controls. And there are approximately around 1,100 controls currently available in the system. So ये controls, they are harmonized and mapped with the existing frameworks and standards, जो कि किसान के ETGRMF standards से भी mapped हैं. policies within the banking sector, ISO 27001, PCI DSS, and all the frameworks are pre-mapped. You can also change the mapping if you feel like आपको नए controls add करने हैं, you can add as many controls as you want, and you can map them with as many frameworks as you want as well. And you can also utilize the AI capabilities to provide you with a semantic search, जो कि फिर आपको they suggest you with the with the additional mapping of your controls and
Okay,
framework
so
requirements.
so like do you guys offer those global controls so that we can map those controls with my framework, or also like I can also write my own controls and then map it?
You can use it as a blank canvas जहाँ पे आप अपने controls को map कर सकते हैं within the system. But we encourage कि we use one standard at least, which could be either CIS, which could be NIST CSF, which comes out of the box in the system, so that we can integrate with other systems on global recognized standards. आप अपने controls भी यहाँ पे add कर सकते हैं, और आप the Swift also provides you with the built-in controls, 1100 built. Those are based on ISO 27001, CIS, DSC 8.1, PCI DSS 4.0.1, and ISO 27001 2022 version.
Okay, so like, and it's still like I just missed that control part. So do you guys also have the hierarchy, like there will be a control and then there will be sub controls, and then under those
Yeah.
sub controls do we have the requirements?
So we have the hierarchy which supports the parent requirements and the clauses. So a parent requirement could be mapped with tens of different clauses. And those clauses then, directly map to the control. So you can map multiple controls to even a clause level. So based on aggregated progression, it provides you with the reporting.
So that will also be our choice. Like if we
Yeah.
want to map the clauses with the controls, then we can do it. Otherwise, if we
Yeah.
only want the control, then we can move forward with the controls as well.
You can directly map the control with the parent, or you can directly or you can map the control with the clause.
Okay. And like just for the information, my knowledge actually, if I want to see my framework's progress, then how you are calculating my framework's progress? Is it going to be dependent on the policies and the controls, or only the controls?
It depends on two factors: the effectiveness of the controls, we call it the maturity, and it also depends on the readiness of the controls, the audit readiness. So these two measurements of progression happens, simultaneously, but separately. So
So my
we
framework's
we
progress
benchmark.
is totally depend on controls, not on policies. So
The
like just
policy
like
does.
I had an
Mhm,
example in my mind. I have a policy
mhm,
for, let's suppose, ISO 27001, and my policy is in the draft state. It's not
mhm.
published yet. So is it going to affect my framework's progress or
No,
no? No. Okay.
no. You can independently run the controls implementation without having to rely on the policy. And the other way around as well. If you have the policies in place, you can link them to your controls, and the framework readiness and framework progression happens based on your maturity and the controls ready,
Okay.
which
So
goes through review cycles and everything. Viewers.
the controls maturity, like on what basis we are monitoring the controls maturity? Like, is it going to be like if I want to get if I want my control to get matured, so there will be some specific tasks, right? So do we have to
Mhm,
perform those tasks so that after completing those tasks, my control get
mhm.
matured? Is it the process, or is there any other thing?
So there is the dedicated module, which is like a file storage. And file storage systems are, consist of evidence where you have to provide, certain documents, certain evidence, screenshots, or spreadsheets. They are linked with your controls. If you manage to link those with your controls, and if you also manage to get the evidence or the documents approved by the approving authority, then the maturity levels move to moderate. If you also connect your data sources for your technical controls, for example, जो कि आपकी whether they are being connected with the scanners or direct integration with the Swift platform, we also provide the direct integration for continuous control monitoring as well. So if you have the continuous control monitoring in place, it automatically improves the maturity level. And if it reaches a certain percentage of activeness, it, uh, it levels it up to the excellent level automatically. But you can also override them based on your own discretion.
Okay, so the last thing is like you've just told me that you have a documentation set up and we have to upload the evidences in the system, and based on those evidences, if the evidence get approved, at that point the control get matured. But right now, like I have an example as well. We have some other cloud systems as well, like Azure and
Mhm.
so if in Azure we have some active directories, and
Mhm.
we can link those directories with the framework so that it can automatically get the documents or get the evidence by itself, and it can also like get the progress of that specific framework. So do you guys have that functionality or not?
For the continuous control monitoring part, we also call them automation plugins. These are the playbooks. It directly gets integrated with your cloud accounts, your on-premise data centers, your Active Directory, your endpoints, your firewalls, routers, switches, or anything the organization requires. These direct integrations goes through the systems and it runs multiple checks, which could include the hardening, password policies, backup, high availability, etc. So the applicability is defined automatically. कि कौन सा scan perform होगा. And so once the scan is performed, it provides you with a gap report that how many of those scans were passed or how many of them were failed. It creates a gap in the system to somebody, and so that you can have workable, you can say, event to work on to fix something. And you can also integrate with your existing security scanning tools. अगर आपके पास, for example, Tenable Security Center hai, and you're already monitoring the hardening and configuration, you can also integrate. So you have both possibilities of systems say directly integrate kare. System, it provides you the advantage that it comes with agentless scanners. You don't have to provide, install any agents on the systems. Okay. And you can also integrate with your existing security tools so that you wouldn't have to work on these scanning tools twice or maintain multiple tools simultaneously. And the good part
Okay.
is if you integrate with your existing tools, it automatically builds the inventory in the system and rank the systems based on their classification and also sort them in the groups if you provide the relevant tags.
Okay, great. Thanks. That's all I want to ask right now. So if there's anything else come in my mind, I'll jump in later. Is that okay?
Okay, observe.
Yeah, no problem. You can
Thanks.
also share your questions, or you can also uh, contact us later on as well. So you
Uh,
can contact us
there's
through
a,
our
there's
email
there's one
address.
last thing. Is the recording of this whole demo is available? Because
Yeah,
definitely I
it
have to
will be
convince my upper.
it will be available and will be shared with you guys on the same email uh, which you have registered.
Okay, great. Because I just like missed the initial demo, so I want to look into that as well. So that's why I asked for the recording.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you so much.
So anybody has any question? So I think that's it. If anyway, if no one has any questions, so अगर बाद में भी आप लोगों को कोई सवाल या कोई ऐसी चीज हो तो आप लोग contact कर सकते हैं through the email address or the email address which you received the invite, or or you can contact us through these uh, the phone numbers or the email address. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. And let's wrap it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.